welcome, welcome. Feel free to join us. Yep, perfect. I'll be right there with you. Give me a minute. What's up, chat? Hello, hello, everybody. Give me 1 minute. I'm gonna just set up some things and then we're gonna get this started. We have our guest coming into our stream. Thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for being patient with me.
Is he live already? Not yet. Oh, shit. What's up, Goofy?
I'm turning down the outro, our intro song. Thank you, stream. And we are live. What's up, everybody? Oh, wait, let me unmute everybody here. Oh, I don't know why Vince left. Vince could have joined.
He said he wasn't staying.
Okay, he wasn't staying. He just wanted to say what's up with his kid. Give me a minute. I'm just going to post another post on social media that we are live. Hello. It's nice to see you again. It's been years. Oh. Okay. Live. Let me see here.
I'm just saying, if they saw the first post, then they would be here already.
I know.
7:30 on the dot.
Yeah. But you know them. Everybody runs on Filipino time. Okay, there you go. All right. We are technically good to go. Let me just fix a few things. Oh, I didn't realize I posted it on a different thing. Okay, anyways. Let's get this ball rolling. What's up, everybody? Hello, chat. Oh, hey, chat. That was my nephew. Oh, hello. Oh, I thought that was your son. I'm so sorry, Vince. I thought that was your son. I didn't know if you were with your son or your nephew, but that's cute. We're doing a deep clean of the house because of the flooding and typhoon. I'll leave the stream running, though. I'll have a great talk. Thank you so much. Yeah, thanks for joining in the chat or in the stream. I really appreciate your support as always. I hope you are safe there in the Philippines. For all of my viewers, people that are chiming in. There's a crazy typhoon that's been happening in the Philippines, and some of my family and family friends are going through a lot, especially flooding in their homes. Send your prayers and blessings to them. They definitely need it. It's been really tough for them. Um, I'm sorry. My thoughts are all over the place, Vincent. So I just saw something. I just saw you on there quickly, and I thought it was your son that you were with. So, but I hope you're safe. I hope everything is good there. As I mentioned to you, privately and here publicly, if there's anything you need help with, just let me know, and I can contact my family there. And we got you. We'd be happy to send you some care packages if you need it. But yeah, hello chat, hello TikTok, hello Twitch, and hello YouTube. Thank you guys for being here with us today. Tonight we are here, and we are going to get started. This is our 100 millionth episode. No, it's not. It's I don't know what episode this is on now, but I promise I'll keep that on track next week.
I
But
believe it's 5.
5 episode?
5
No,
or 6.
no, we are definitely way more than 5 episodes of Transparency Thursdays.
Sorry, I'll figure that out. I'll
Yeah.
figure that out in the middle of this. I'll,
Okay.
I'll text you on the site. I got
Sounds
He
good.
might as well be the content manager. We were
Yeah,
talking about
he is my. We need a content manager. He's our admin. But I'm gonna do
He's
a
like,
quick.
yo, viewers, I got you. $1.80 content warning.
Yeah, we're gonna do some quick intro and a quick disclaimer as we usually do. Tonight is our Transparency Thursdays podcast. As I usually say on our podcast, what this was meant for is for us to be able to open up our thoughts, opinions, and be transparent with them, be authentic, no censorship, except, of course, we are still being thoughtful and mindful of every scenario and situation that we talk about. We want to make sure that we are still very respectful of all the things that we say, but that doesn't mean that we are going to hold back our own opinions. And by that, I'm going to repeat, a lot of our conversations are purely based on our own opinions, with, of course, when it is a certain situation like this where we have topics like tonight. Our topic is about eating disorders. And we make sure that we at least do our due diligence to, do a little bit of research and try to have an understanding of what this topic is. We don't want to just go off and base it on, on thoughts that we don't have knowledge about. And so tonight, what was important for us is inviting 2 guests that definitely have shared experiences about the topic, because, with us, the host, Wes, Fierce, and I, we personally don't have our own personal experiences. Maybe in some ways, after I get to talk to both of our guests, I might realize that there might be some things that are actually underlying also in my life. So to get to the point of it, I want to first introduce the 2 guests that we have here. I don't know how you guys want to go by in my stream or in this podcast, but please introduce yourselves. Let's start with Laura May. If you want to introduce yourself here, just give us a little bit of background, maybe how we know each other, or how you heard about this situation or about this podcast, and who you are, and where you currently are in your life, or what you're doing.
Yeah, my name is Laura May. I know Cyrus from high school. We didn't go to the same high school, but connected in high school. And then do I talk a little bit about
Yeah.
how well, I just thought it was really interesting because the other day I was driving home from San Jose. I live in East Bay right now. And I was just thinking, I've been thinking a lot about my childhood and have just been reflecting. And I've had a lot of body image issues growing up. And I realized in middle school, I kind of had I had an eating disorder, and I didn't really realize that until recently. And then the next day, Cyrus made a post asking if there was any guests that wanted to talk about it. And I just thought it was such a coincidence. So here I am.
Really appreciate that. And with that, even just being so open about it, after seeing my post, I know it's very last minute too, but I really appreciate that you even are taking your time out of your day to do this. I know you probably came from a busy day, and you even told me you're going to try to get here as soon as possible. So really appreciate it that you made it on time. But yeah, let's pass it off to our amazing friend over here. If you'd like to introduce yourself, whichever way you want to be called through this stream.
Just Goofy.
Okay.
Goofy's fine.
Okay, Goofy. We'll go Goofy.
Luffy.
Okay.
Reporting for duty.
Yeah.
Yeah. Goofy, we'll call you Goofy through this podcast. So Goofy is actually a friend, a good friend of Wesley's. And Goofy was the one that had given us this idea, feedback about a certain topic that we wanted to talk about. And if it's okay with you, Goof, that I'm going to share this. He
Sure.
was the one that opened up about it and said, "Hey, I'd actually really love for you guys to talk about eating disorders, because personally, I've gone through it and I have my shared experiences, and I'd love to be a part of it. Maybe in one of your episodes and share that." So first and foremost, I just want to say thank you for even one giving us this topic to talk about. A lot of our audiences have constantly shared feedback about very serious things, and I'm also careful about the topics that we share because we want to be mindful. As much as, again, Transparency Podcast is about us literally just releasing our own thoughts and just having fun through the night. Topics like this could be very sensitive to certain audiences and certain groups of people. And lately, the people that have been chiming in our stream definitely appreciate the banters and the comic reliefs and icebreakers that we have, but they also really appreciate the conversations we have of serious topics. So for you to share this eating disorder, especially, I know it's very brave of you to be able to open up to that, and we're really thankful that you're going to be a part of this to share your story. But yeah, let's get started to it. We're gonna start it off very slow. We don't want to just get straight to the nitty gritty stuff. And I know this may get really deep and personal. So, whatever emotions you may feel, happy, sad, anger, frustration, this is very open. We're very open to that. That's the whole point of this podcast. Transparency is all about just you being completely uncensored, unfiltered, and being able to express your own thoughts and personal experiences in ways that we, want you to open up. But if there are certain questions that we ask that you still feel like you cannot answer, or you're not willing to or be open to, please, you are not obligated to at all to answer that. And you could always tell us, like, hey, maybe I'll skip this question and we can move on to the next one. And we're totally okay with that. But yeah, Wes, did you want to start it off?
Yeah. So just to start it off, I know Laura May, you started off with the introduction and everything like that. We're gonna kind of for the dialogue of it, we're gonna go back and forth for the questions. So each question we're gonna start off with one. Let's say Goofy is the first question for this one, and the next one you'll be the first question for the next one. Okay. So what eating disorders do you feel like you have? We'll start off with Goofy.
Um, I struggled with bulimia for I think 8 or 9 years, and that was pretty much all I had, honestly. Nothing else. I guess in the healing process of trying to get rid of that, I guess you could say I was anorexic because I was afraid to eat because I didn't want to repeat those patterns. So I think that's about it.
Okay. What about you,
Yeah.
Laura May?
I definitely don't want to self-diagnose myself, but I would say the same. I think I definitely had a little bit of bulimia and a little bit of anorexia. Just had I wouldn't say, I don't know. It was just, I guess, a way to control things as well. But looking back, I would say both. Same. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Uh,
Go ahead.
Laura, when do you think you realized that you had an eating disorder? When did you first realize it?
Well, I think it was just like I said, it was a few days ago when I was driving home and I was thinking about my childhood, and I looked back and I was like, wow, I didn't realize it at the time, but I definitely had I guess control issues with food and just that eating disorder. But yeah, in middle school, of course I wasn't really aware about it. But yeah, I've just always had these body image issues, and then literally, yeah, just the other day I was driving home and I was like, yeah, I think definitely had eating disorders growing up.
Interesting. I just want to, before we pass it off to Goof and answering that question, I kind of want to add on to that. So would you say, of course, it's not, you don't want to self-diagnose or anything, but this
Mhm.
eating disorder, I mean, eating disorders don't necessarily have to come from someone. I mean, again, from purely based on my opinion, I don't think you have to go to a doctor and be like, yeah, you're anorexic or you're bulimic. I
Yeah.
personally think an eating disorder could also mean you're really just having a lot of trouble um, identifying yourself in ways with your relationship with food or
Yeah.
in your health in the eating space, right? And when you said that you just kind of realized that like recently, was
Mhm.
it because of like something that you were kind of maybe related to what you were going through currently, and then you were like, oh my God, wait, you know what? I'm seeing a pattern. Um,
Kind of. I think lately, like, I realize that sometimes when my mental health is like not at its best, I kind of like neglect my self-care and I don't have like the best appetite. So then I don't eat and then yeah, it's just thinking about like my relationship with food. And then, like I said, I was reflecting a lot on my childhood and then it's just having like flashbacks and I was just like, whoa, I had an eating disorder in middle school and I didn't even know. Yeah.
Interesting. What about you, Goof? Yeah, when did you find out that
When
you
did I?
had?
So doing it through all the years, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't realize what it was until one day, I was just experiencing like pains and Googling it, and I was like, well, let me go see a doctor. And then my doctor was actually the one that said, like, hey, have you gone to see a therapist on the second visit after I
Wow.
told her what was going on? And I was like, no, why would I do that? I just love food. And she was like, no, you have bulimia. You're bulimic. And
Wow.
that's when my world just shut down.
Can you
So,
can you, I mean, based off your experience, especially because this is a diagnosis that you receive from the doctor, can you explain a little bit, I mean, even to our audience, what bulimia may be, or like what you understand as bulimic or being
oh,
bulimic?
just, you know, throwing out your food after intaking a bunch of it, uh, purging, overeating, and emptying the tank
Interesting.
by mouth. Yeah.
Wow, okay. And these were symptoms that you definitely had, like you were experiencing, like you going through?
Um. Yeah. Uh. As far as like what like okay, so
Yeah.
you just puking. Yeah.
you
Just puking. So.
just puking.
Well, yeah, because I mean, because it's kind of hard, right? Like, I mean, I'll look at it in my personal experience or thinking about things like I love to eat, like
Yeah.
even in random days, like or random times of the day, where it's like, you know what, I got snacks in the fridge, or actually even I have a specific section in my kitchen that's literally just a shelf full of snacks, but the thing about that is like I stack it up with snacks, but I don't tend to eat it. I just like looking at it. All right.
Mhm.
So, and it to me, it's like eye candy is what that's a great way to
Yeah.
explain it. And it gets me excitement to know that I just have those snacks in that corner. And whenever I want to eat something, I'll eat it. But when I do, there are certain times where I'm like overeating myself, or like I go to a Korean barbecue. They say all you can eat. Oh, bet I'll be that
Yeah.
guy. I'll sit there and I'll eat all I can until I can no longer do it. And then I go home and I'm just like, oh, I gotta throw it all up. Oh man.
Yeah.
But I don't think I would consider myself as bulimic. And I don't think that if I were to go to a doctor, because I've had my own personal experiences, even going to a therapist, sharing all these experiences, and they've never once told me like, hey, you know what? Maybe we should check you up for bulimia. So it's never
Yeah.
a thing for me. So that's why I wanted to ask, like, those symptoms that you say you kind of like had underlined or like mentioned. I wanted to, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to confirm if these were actually experiences you had, and then your doctor were like, you know what?
Yeah. So I mean, so don't get me wrong. Like, if you do have an episode of eating too much, sometimes it is good to like just let it out. Sometimes that's what you need to do, especially when you eat something bad.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, it could be food poisoning too.
Yeah.
like my experience at a buffet was a plate, bathroom, like 4 plates, 4 bathroom trips. And nowadays I only have 1.5 if I'm lucky, 2, and I'm just there chilling.
Wow.
But yeah, as far as like symptoms, it's just exposing food that was intaked,
Interesting.
pretty much.
So in our stream, and in this chat that we go through, we actually have a lot of interaction that we go. That the reason why we're doing this live, we get a lot of interaction from the stream, right? And currently, right now, we actually received feedback or a comment, a question from our Twitch stream. And someone had said, when I was in high school, I used to hear those terms all the time, bulimia and anorexia. Would you say the same effects are modernized with taking Ozempic? And I've actually heard a little bit about Ozempic, but I'm not familiar with it thoroughly. You guys might be, so if you guys can share your thoughts. And it's not even just either two of you, or maybe Wes or Fears, if you guys know anything about it. But yeah, I know it looked like Laura May and Goof, you guys had some thoughts about it. Do you know
Yeah.
about Ozempic? Yeah.
I feel like the Kardashians started. I might be wrong about that,
That's the
but they're
Kardashian
like
drug, yeah.
they're like super skinny now, and then I think it just became like that celebrity drug, and people are just dropping weight super fast. Like for example, I don't know if you've seen Christina Aguilera, but over the years she gained a lot of weight, and now she looks like exactly how she was when in the early or not late 90s or whatever it was. Yeah,
Does it like
it's
boost your metabolism or something, or what does
So
it do?
so here's what I know about Ozempic before we even like go further on it. And to make sure it ties in with that question of would you say the same effects are modernized with taking Ozempic? I think the people, especially in LA, because this is definitely a drug heavily used in LA. Ozempic is actually a prescription FDA approved drug that treats type 2 diabetes. So it's a diabetic, it's for people who are diabetic. It's not even just for dieting. But because celebrities have getting approval by their own doctors, maybe paying them money, whatever that might be, right? That cash grab. They started, even celebrities started promoting it and actually like sponsoring Ozempic as like a great dieting tool, great dieting medicine to use. And so I guess the question that our chat was asking was that like, okay, does that make you anorexic or bulimic just because you're taking Ozempic? Yeah, Goof.
It's the same thing. 'Cause it's just like a more, what do you say? It doesn't look frowned upon because oh yeah, I'm on a drug, that's fine. Like like
It's
weight loss pills.
prescribed.
Yeah, but there was actually a time when because it was called the Kim Kardashian drug,
Wow.
and my grandmother, my nana, has diabetes, and it was hard for her to get that prescription because everyone's
you, Carter.
buying it to do the same, just to lose some weight, because it essentially makes you not hungry.
That's
That's all it
crazy.
does.
Oh
yeah,
wow.
you just don't eat.
I
So
guess
Yeah,
it's
but
like
like you
a-
need nutrition to like even like work around and move and
know,
stuff
Yeah.
like that.
it's
You're
the
gonna get
narcotic
fatigued and
of
everything.
anorexia. So.
thank you for the rose, Carter. Really appreciate that TikTok rose. I guess yeah. So in this situation, like, does it have the same effects or? I think
it's relatable to.
I think it's
anorexia.
relatable, but I think it depends on how it's being used, right? Because there could be people using Ozempic, and yes, it's making them lose their appetite, but it is also helping them with underlying conditions, health conditions, and they're really using it for that purpose. But if, like, let's say, if we look at it in a very superficial, materialistic way, LA, for example, a lot of people will come in there who has a lot of money, they have a lot of money to throw. And so they'll try to go to a doctor and just try to get diagnosed in some way and try to get approved for it and then to use it just for dieting. I think it could be there could be underlying situations like anorexia or bulimia that's making them want to be like, oh, I'll take this so then I could suppress even those problems I'm having internally, which is even a bigger problem that could probably have even further digging deeper underlying traumatic experiences that they may have had in their past that's causing them to now like, oh, like I look at it as kind of when people use marijuana as a drug to escape certain things, like, oh, I'm feeling like down and out right now, I'm gonna go use some of this, get me a little bit of that, and then I feel better. So but with that situation of that question, I think it really varies. It's depending on the situation, and in my opinion, I think it is definitely tying in together, because if you're using Ozempic just to make excuses based off of your own personal, like, I guess, thoughts based off of your physical traits or whatever, then yes, maybe it's time for you to also get some sort of help, right? But yeah, Wes, do you have any other questions that kind of tie in?
Well, I kind of wanted to know like what was like the thought process, like how did the realization or like even like the therapist like make you feel when you realized it that you had like bulimia or like some sort of like eating disorder? We'll start with like Goofy.
How did I feel?
Yeah.
Shocked, I guess. I would say like how it felt was like when I heard that statement, it was like I was at a concert and there was just one single like just bass drop like the world was like crashing in like
Wow.
down on
Mhm.
me and I'm like, oh shit. You're right. You know,
That's
like I
crazy.
said, all those years I knew what I was doing. I just didn't know
That it was that.
what it was.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like I the thing is like so we're like liars. We're like really good liars. Oh, I just gotta take a poop. You know, I just
Yeah.
gotta
Like
take
to
a shit.
ourselves.
But no, really, I'm in the bathroom fucking puking my brains out. You know what I mean? But
Mm.
Well,
you
I
know,
feel
like
like taking a poop is like your excuse for everything.
it
It's
could
like,
be.
sorry guys, I can't play video games with you tonight. I gotta go take a poop.
And then you ditch the party.
Yeah, but it did make me feel depressed, and
Yeah.
it
Wow.
did make me want to change my life around because you know I got kids. I
Yeah.
want to be there. So
That's crazy.
other than that, just super scared and shocked. Really, even though I knew what I was doing, I was shocked.
Wow.
Mhm.
What about you, Lorme?
I'm sorry, what was the question? Like, how did I feel when I realized
Yeah.
that?
What was your thought process behind it? Like, how did it make you feel?
I don't know. I've just been in this mode where I've been self-reflecting a lot, and I feel like once I'm made aware of something, it kind of I just need to like sit with it, and then after that, I'm kind of like at peace with it. I kind of just need to sit with myself, how I'm feeling. But when I realized it, it was more of just like a light bulb, like, whoa, that's like what I was doing in middle school versus and in high school. Um, so I wouldn't say that I was like I didn't feel like upset or anything, but yeah, I've just been self-reflecting a lot and just acceptance, I would say,
Mhm.
and coming to peace with things.
I think the follow-up question I wanted to ask with that is, of course, now as an adult, it's much easier for you to kind of have like that self-acceptance, right? Like knowing the mistakes or the faults that we made when we were younger. It's that reflection kind of also gives us the space of healing. You're like, oh wow, I did that, and it's more of like from what I learned with my therapist. You know, when I was going through my own concerns with my mental health. One thing that she had specifically mentioned is about once you have that foundation of awareness of all the traumas or problems that you are facing, it's time for you to also start reflecting and then apologizing to your past self, like saying sorry that you're dealing with that or that you had to go through that. And as an adult, it's easier for us to do that. Maybe some adults right now, they still are very like hard stuck on like, why do I need to apologize for my past self? Like hello, like I'm not a Mr. or Mrs. Fantasy. I don't like it's kind of stupid. Like who am I apologizing to but myself? There's no reason for that. Like all I need to do is just move on and get over it, right? But for your guys' situation, like now as an adult realizing it and you're like, oh, okay, I had that problem. Knowing that I had that problem, I should probably direct myself in a complete opposite way so that I can make sure that I'm actually not bringing those problems into the future or in my present, right? But I think what I want to ask is, were you ever in any way even thought of that when back in the days, like back then, like even in high school when I had known you? I know I mentioned this to you a couple days ago when you had shared that you wanted to be a part of this conversation. I told you that, for a friend like you, I was always aware of my friends and I always cared about everybody and their feelings. But not once have I ever seen you as type of person that had those kind of, let's say, what you were saying, like those underlying insecurities of yourself, um, or even thinking that you were in any way like bulimic or having a eating disorder where you would try to use food as a way, your relationship with your food as a way to kind of cope or not cope with things that are going through with your life. So during that time in the past, were there ever any thoughts of you like, I may have this problem, but nah, it's not a thing. Like what Goofy was saying, like, no, it's not that. I'm just going in the bathroom often because it's just because I eat a lot. So did it ever exist for you in the past? Were you aware of it in some way?
Maybe to a certain extent. I think it was just the norm for me to always have those body image issues and those insecurities. But I actually was thinking about this earlier. I feel like in high school, there was a moment where you reached in my backpack and you found a measuring tape. I don't know if you remember that.
I remember
Do
that.
you
Actually, I was like,
Okay.
you actually made an excuse about it. I said, because we were going through, we were just kind of like exploring, going on our adventures as we usually did. And it was random because we all wore our backpacks. You know, it was the high school thing, like going to the malls, wearing our backpacks, like we had something in there, but there was really nothing.
Mm,
And then,
right.
and yeah, and Laura May, there was something that I
With the
needed.
JanSport.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
Laura May was asking for some help, and I was carrying her backpack, and then I reached to her backpack, and I was like, "Oh, this is random," and he's like, "Oh, that's nothing. I just, carry that it's school stuff," and I was like, "Oh, okay," and I brushed it off. I was like, "Oh yeah," because we just got out of school at that time, and sure, she probably needed that. But that's crazy. Yeah, like again, I see it never even phased me to be in that situation. Hello,
Yeah.
hi stream. Hello, Hans. Thank you for joining in. We are talking about eating disorders right now. But yeah, Goof. Even in the like in the past, before getting diagnosed by a doctor, was there ever any thought? I know you kind of said it already earlier, but I just kind of want to reiterate it. Was there ever any thought in your past where you're like, "Dang, dude, I might actually have a problem about this"?
No. Like I said, dude, like like I kind of knew what I was doing, but there was no realization of what I was doing. You
It was
know,
just kind
and
of natural.
yeah, and there's a story to it of why it led that way, and it'll go on forever, and I don't want to take up too much time on it. But it's just bullying and uh
Mm.
cheating ass girlfriend,
Oh my
so
gosh, you started to talk about my literal next question.
Well, let's add
oh,
that question. Let's.
okay.
So what's that? What was that question?
Ask the
Was
question.
What did it stem from?
yeah. Where did that stem from? Like, how did
Okay.
you realize that?
If you can like
If you
obviously
can
like
open
pinpoint
about
it,
it, I
because
mean,
like some people can't pinpoint it. It just happens. Like
yeah.
some people are just mentally depressed. There's no actual stemming from it. It's just their brain,
Yeah.
right? But is there a stem from it that you can pinpoint and share?
I feel like it definitely stems from somewhere. Because for me, like growing up and then recently, I realized like the way that I talk to myself is so mean, and then
Mm,
and it does stem from somewhere because I thought about like how my mom would talk to me, and I feel like that's why I'm like mean to myself.
interesting. So would you say like self-deprecating, like even like self-deprecating jokes sometimes can be very funny because people are like like they're making fun of themselves. Like um I'm gonna put him on blast right now. He actually isn't eating a sandwich right now, which is very interesting. Oh, actually, he's picking it up right now. He's actually grabbing it right now. So Mr. Fears over here. So
No,
I.
I'm eating a salad.
Oh, okay, he has his slide. So Laura May, I actually went into. I'm sorry I didn't even introduce them, but Wesley obviously is this gentleman over here. He's my co-host. That has the glasses. We have Goof obviously, and then Fears right here. He is our number one admin moderator and also an amazing friend. But every episode, he actually has a sandwich, a burrito, or some sort of food that he eats during the stream. So I apologize in advice if it may bother you in some way or it may be some sort of issue. But I wanted to say, Fears is really good at this, but not in a bad way. Fierce is a very humorous guy. He loves to joke around, and to a point that there are many moments where he's kind of self-deprecates. Like he'll talk about like himself to make fun of a situation or a scenario. But over time, sometimes it could be actually mentally tolling. But we've had this conversation with Fears already before, and to him, it's like, nah, man, he's completely like zen. Like this dude probably in his past life was like a monk and meditated for 300 years, and so like nothing really phases him. Um,
That was bald too.
yeah,
I know hair.
and that's the reason why he has hair now on his head because
It's
for
because my
300 years
past
he
life
didn't have
didn't
any.
hair.
But
Yes.
that's our point exactly. Like we can joke like that about each other, right? And Fears does it all often where will joke about things and then he'll use himself as a joke and be like, yeah, like me, because ha 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 ha. But in what you were saying earlier, you're very mean to yourself. You say a lot of negative things to yourself because it stemmed from the past of the way your mom had spoken to you and the way that she approaches your relationship with her. Can you elaborate a little bit more about that? And then we'll ask Goofy as well too about the situation.
Well, growing up, my mom was always like just always criticizing me, always comparing me. And I don't know, just like picking things up, like just picking on me, like whether it's like my eyes or like you're getting bigger and things like that.
Mm.
So growing up, I just grew up like really insecure and just had really low self-esteem. Um, and then yeah, it just led to, I guess, making my relationship with food bad.
Can you elaborate a little bit more in detail? Like what do you mean by making your relationship with food bad? Like what does that
Um,
mean exactly? Because bad relationship with food or having a bad relationship with food could mean a lot of things. It could be both ways.
The
Like
varying factor. It could be like avoiding food, or it could be like I can only eat this type of food.
yeah, or
You could be
like
dieting. You could be changing your eating habits.
yeah.
well, I think, in the Asian culture, like a lot of or my mom was always just talking about like my weight and whatnot. So there were times where she would talk about her weight or like food and stuff. And then I remember looking back, and she would like praise me if I had like good self control with food. So in a way, that was like me like wanting to please her in some type of way. But then behind closed doors, I would like binge on food sometimes. And then once I feel like I hate myself, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go let this all out. And then there were times where I just wouldn't eat at all because I don't know. It was just a very complicated relationship with food and just my body image in general.
Interesting. Um, what about you, Goof? Like, was there any? I mean, you kind of based it off already earlier. You said bullying, right? Like you had experienced bullying, but in
Yeah.
what way were you being bullied? Like, were there certain physical appearances about yourself or things, maybe your
Oh
personality?
yeah. So like I was a thin child up until maybe first grade or so. But I remember this one time in the fourth grade, there was this girl I liked in the line, and we used to, instead of tucking our shirts in, we'd roll them up because we had a dress code and stuff.
Yeah.
And like I stretched or whatever, and it came out, and this girl was like, "Oh, like we just saw like his fat or whatever," you know what I mean?
Wow.
So, but this one time in eighth grade, this girl made a comment like, "Damn, like you need to wear a bra. Your nipples are showing." So after that day, I used to tape my nipples
Wow.
so they were flat, and I could just wear one shirt. And just the comments and all that stuff in
That's
high
really interesting.
school.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it sucked. It made me like really what's the word? I can't put
Self
it.
conscious.
Yes, exactly. I was like, we just heard it, and I can't say it.
But your nips
Like
are like
self
the
con.
best traits you have, bro. Like
Dude, I'm saying,
yeah,
dude.
bro. I love
You
to
play
see
around
that.
with those things so
I
much.
mean, I only saw it
Tattoos,
once.
dog.
Oh, and you got the freak. Okay, we'll talk about that another time. That's kind of
Later,
sick.
homie.
Oh man.
But
Yeah, yeah.
dude, I got the 8 trigram seal on the tummy too.
That's
Anyway,
so sick. Yeah. But yeah, we're all
any
about free the nips now. I mean, we promote that too for
yeah,
men too, not just women.
dude,
Yeah.
free the nipple.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, you know what I find interesting is that you have your two tattoos, your main ones that you first got, are around the areas that you felt insecure about.
That's really
Yeah,
interesting. Do you think that has something to do with that?
maybe other than I was just a huge Naruto fan,
Oh, okay.
so I had to get it because I wanted to be Naruto because I was
That's
like
cool.
so into it. But it could be because I don't mind showing them off nowadays. Like I don't care. But yeah, bullying, like I said. But there was this girl who I thought was like, I was in love with. Just kept on like cheating and cheating and cheating.
Oh
And there was a
man.
time where I could list off 50 different names. I can't now. It's been forever.
You gotta
But
let go.
that's what kind of like said, all right, let's start it. And yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
yeah.
It's
Do you
interesting.
think it was stress induced, or do you think it was like a feeling of insecurity, like I'm not good enough, like I'm big, and
Well, yeah.
like you're not secure in your own body, so I'm gonna like release everything to make myself like skinnier or whatever, so I'm more appealing.
Yeah. Because I always had a small friend group, but when I started like starting to thin out, I was talking to like everyone, and then I had like, but it could just be like my mind. I just could have felt that way. I could have just had like maybe I didn't have the confidence because how I looked or whatever. But
Yeah.
but when I thinned out, I've had the biggest friend groups ever since. So
Wow.
but that's probably just me being dumb,
Yeah.
you know?
It's like overthinking things.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to tie this in like with my relationship with Laura May. I've known her since high school, and she's definitely seen even my ups and downs. She was there through a lot of things that supported me, even with certain situations or relationships I had in the past. You know, when no one else was being truthful to me about the situations I was going through, she was there, the very first one to be able to be like, "Hey, Cyrus, I'm texting you right now because I want to tell you that you shouldn't pull through with this." I remember it vividly, Lauren May. I was on my way to Milpitas. I was in Bart. I was halfway there. It was Christmas in the park. It was that season, and you had texted me, and you're like, "Hey, Cyrus, I just want to let you know something. I know she's my best friend and all, but I should tell you the truth that yeah, she's been seeing her ex. She's been seeing her ex at this time, and she's actually there right now. And I don't think it's a good thing for you to do that. You know,
I
and
don't remember this at all.
yeah, it was pretty crazy. It's okay that you don't remember it, but I remember it vividly because I always remember the moments where I've been saved by my friends, and you were definitely a big piece of that. So I appreciate that. But
Yeah,
even
you
from
saved my life too.
yeah,
You saved my
yes,
life in the city too. He pulled me from like a car that was passing, and I was just on my phone texting.
she
And
was
like,
just gonna cross the street without looking, and she literally almost got wrecked. Anyways, but I remember even then back then, and she knows how I looked. I was a very petite. I was a small kid. I was tiny. I was skinny. And I had my own insecurities about that because it was harder for me. It wasn't like because I chose to be skinny. It was because genetically it was just harder for me to gain weight because I had such a fast metabolism, and it didn't help that I was a dancer and I was super active and I was constantly commuting, traveling, not driving. I was taking BART and commuting all the time. And then
A lot of
on
cardio.
and yeah, a lot of cardio. And on top of that, I didn't sleep well because I was working already at the age of 17 and I was also going to school. I was still in high school, but I was doing a lot. But my insecurity stemmed from my physical traits, how people perceived me, and I thought I wasn't good enough because I was smaller or skinny. And girlfriends that I had in the past were cheating on me too and then I started thinking like, is it my personality? Is it this? Is it my body? Like, am I not good enough? But I never thought of it in a way where I was gonna like take advantage of or take my relationship with food for granted. It was always just more of harming myself in other ways, and it wasn't with food. But for you guys, it's in it. Why was it that food was your way of coping? Like, why was it that the coping mechanism of either eating or not eating certain foods, despite the traumas you guys were facing with family issues or even like friends and relationships? Why was food the coping mechanism?
it's like the term "eating your feelings."
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
sometimes people are like an emotional eater. I can be that way. Or like when people get bored and they just feel like munching on something, it's comforting, I guess, in a sense.
Yeah. Here we go, right? Mr. Self-deprecating guy, king of self-deprecating. He's like, yeah. But
I always have something on me because I get bored. I swear.
that's very interesting. Eating with your feelings. What about you, Goof? Like, do you agree with that? Like, is
Eating
it?
with your feel, I 110%. Yeah, I agree. But just to add on to something that you said, that yeah, I
Yeah.
always felt like I was never good enough, and that's probably why I decided to like, hey, this is what I'm gonna start doing. Because every summer since like the 5th grade, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna exercise, walk, boom, boom, and then sophomore year, I was like, this is it.
Mm,
This is what I'm gonna do. Um,
interesting.
Do you think it was
But-
more like ease? Like it was just easier to do that instead of like working out and stuff like that?
yeah, because I'm a hardcore gamer, so I would
Mm.
rather stay at the Xbox at the time, and because like 5 seconds, 10 seconds in the bathroom, like beat an hour of doing something. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I was just lazy,
That's crazy.
but yeah, I never. Let's see. I would have to agree. Like eating your emotions away. Yeah, I'm more of an emotional drinker though.
I wanted to
So-
kind of reel you guys in with your responses because in transparency podcasts, there always has to be a space where I will ask a question or Wes will ask a question that's very thought provoking or a little bit over the edge. So my question to this is, of all the years I've known you, Laura May, and me just knowing you within this year, Goof, and you guys telling me both of these experiences, it really mattered about like what people were saying to you or how it affected you in some ways, and you started eating with your feelings. The very specific question that I had kept here because I knew this was going to get to it was, why do people's opinion mattered more to you guys than what you should actually be doing for yourself and to better yourself? Like why was that such a big thing when when you can look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, you know what? I like who I am. I like what I look like. I like what I see. Or no, I like food because I like it and it tastes good. It's great. Like it's delicious. I love going to eat sushi because that's the kind of food that I like. So how come and that, I wanted to trigger you there too. I know you don't like seafood much, but maybe that's part of the eating disorder thing. Um, but why is that? Like, why did it matter so much about what people had said to you guys or their opinions? Oh, you look. Yeah, I want to bring it up to you and start it off with you, Laura May, because same thing with Filipino families. Oh man, especially Filipino parties. And I'm sure you've had your share of being invited to Filipino parties before with the aunties and the uncles, and the aunties are the ones that will say these comments first. Like when they haven't seen you in a long time and then they come up to you and they think they're not being harmful with the words that they say, but the first sentences that they'll say, especially with my sister, I'll use my sister as an example. Oh my God, look at you. You look so fat now. Are you eating?
Or skinny.
Like
Or
why,
skinny.
yeah,
You look so skinny.
why are you eating? This
Yeah.
is the reason why you don't have a boyfriend. Like, why? I know we're in a Filipino party, but be careful. Don't eat that food because that's gonna be heavier. It's a lot of carbs. Just eat this. Eat this one because it's better for you. Or the opposite, right? Oh my gosh, you look so skinny. Like, why don't you eat more? Here, come over here. And they think they're being nice and like. And the thing is, they won't even just do that for their family members. They'll like. Imagine if I invited Lauren May, my uncles and aunties, especially the aunties, would openly say that to her and be like, oh my gosh, you look so skinny. Is Cyrus not treating you as a good friend? Like, is he like not taking you out to go eat or whatever? Here, come over, eat all this food. You're so skinny. Like, you need to go and eat. Right? Like, but why does that
Tyler.
matter?
Yo, what is that?
I gotta chat.
Yeah.
In the chat, I will voluntarily eat all the lumpia, please and thank you.
Hands down, I'll be like,
I
yeah.
would too.
Like, damn
I
right,
would
yeah. Damn right, I'm skinny because you haven't been feeding me
I'll eat
enough.
everything on the table. I don't care.
Like, yeah, auntie, I'm skinny because you haven't been around feeding me. What the hell's wrong with you? My childhood best friend is on chat and he's like 100%. That's exactly what we go through. But yeah, I want to bring it back to that question. Why do people's opinion or their words matter to you guys so much? To the point that it's affected you with your relationship with food.
For me, I think it was hard to learn how to validate myself because the one person who is supposed to be warm and give me like unconditional love wasn't that. So because of her treating me that way, that's just, I guess, how I kind of treated myself. So it was hard to validate myself. And then with what you're just talking about, I think I've been thinking about how like with Asians, food is like one of our love languages, right?
Yeah, it's a comfort.
How we show love, yeah. And then going into like Asian parties, it's like no matter what you do, it's never gonna be the right thing. Like I come in, they're like, "Oh my God, you gained weight," and then if I'm not eating a lot because I'm full or I just don't feel like eating, "Oh, are you on a diet?" Like it's just never enough. It's like, what do you want from me? Or it's like, yeah, it's like if I'm not eating enough, it's like, oh, you need to eat more. You need to eat more. It's like, it's never in the middle. So yeah.
Mhm.
That's very interesting. I like that you brought up that your relationship with your mom mattered to you way more than she probably have thought of. Um, and a lot of the times that communication, we don't really have that, especially in Asian families. We don't hear "I love you" from our parents.
Yeah.
They have different ways. It's a tough love kind of thing that they do. Is their way of saying "I love you" is by, here, I cut you up some apples for some snacks, right? Or I made you some spring rolls because it's made with love because they had to work for it to get to that, and have some spring rolls for you. Eat because I know you haven't eaten yet, and that's their way of saying like I love you or I'm sorry, because they never apologize and they'll never say I love you. Goof, let's go back to that question. Like, why did it matter so much about what people were telling you? Yeah.
I don't know. That's just how I always been. I don't think there was any like any interaction that made me be that way. It's just always been that way for me.
So you always.
I'm still that way today. Yeah.
So even today, like, would you say even with your friends, like what they say to you, like would affect you negatively or positively, even if they don't
Um,
mean harm towards you?
Uh, well, not the close group, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say so. My acquaintance or side friends.
All right, let's say my brother says something mean to you. Would you give a shit?
Oh,
Well, that guy's an idiot. So fuck
Well, he's
no.
still an acquaintance.
No, that guy's an idiot.
So where is your boundary then? Where is your boundary then? Because okay, let's put it in this perspective. Me,
'Cause strangers definitely don't matter.
you met me this year, right? But let's say the first week that we had gotten to talk to each other. I mean, obviously you were okay with me, and we were vibing and we were laughing already playing video games. But let's say what if that in that week I thought I was very comfortable with you already, and then I said something like, "Goof, bro, you look goofy as hell, man. Like what kind of diet do you have, bro? Because let's say I'm just trying to like jokingly tease you, but then compliment you at the same time. Like, you look goofy as hell, but what kind of diet do you have? Because I'm trying to look like you." And then you'd be like, "What? Like, how would you feel about that?"
Well, I don't know if that was if that would be an insult or a compliment because you said you're trying to look like me.
Yeah,
But if you
right?
didn't say that and said I look goofy as hell, I'd probably be like, man, fuck this guy, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking life.
It's like a two-sided
nose?
sword.
It's like it's a backhanded compliment, but wait.
Double-edged sword.
It's like
yeah.
I'm about to. Oh wait, maybe I shouldn't slap him. But I think I just always thought of that. Like, why does it matter so much, right? Obviously, as we're older now, we're more grown up. Yes, a lot of things that people say don't really hurt us as much anymore because, like, screw you. You could easily say like, "Fuck you." Like, I'm a grown ass adult. What you say doesn't really hurt me, you know. But it's very interesting to me, like, two opposing sides. Laura May, for you, it's a very like emotional relationship with someone that you felt you wanted that bond with. Goof, for you, it was like, nah, it doesn't really phase me unless you're someone who I don't find value in. Which is interesting to me because for me, it's like it would hurt me more if someone who is closer to me said something to me even jokingly, because I have my own shared insecurities and my own thoughts. Because to me, that person who I'm close to should know my insecurities and the things that bother me. And then the fact that you're commenting about something that definitely is an insecurity of mine, that's going to hurt me. But if it was a stranger, if someone just came up to me and I walked by, like I was at the mall and like, "Damn, bro, you look obese," I'd be like, "Okay, bro, like, and look at you. You probably need to change your life too." Like something like that. It wouldn't affect me. I'd just probably rebuttal or something, right? It's a very interesting take that you say that you're very emotionless, but when it's strangers, it matters. Why does it matter from strangers?
I just I feel like with the boys, it's just it's a joke.
Yeah.
I don't take it too serious. But like if it's someone I don't know, then I'm like, well, that guy really fucking hates my life or something. Maybe I should go fucking eat a burrito and pick it up or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like,
Do you think it's like you have to kind of like the first impressions mean a lot kind of thing? Like you want to be seen a certain way and you want to have that kind of like oh, when at the end of the day you guys are parting ways, you want to be like, I wonder if that guy thought of me as a cool guy, or like if I'm a decent person, if I'm a decent human being. Is that the kind of thing that you're explaining?
yes. Yeah, exactly. And that's how
Ah.
I always feel like all the time. Even when like we just got a new employee today, and like I just talked to him for like about like 10 minutes. But that's what I was thinking about when we left. Like, man, I hope he thinks I'm fucking cool and like wants to work here and shit. But
Interesting.
But yeah, every time. Even when I first met Wes, I was like, damn, dude, like, I hope this guy could be my boyfriend or something.
And then now Goop is married and left Wes alone.
That's the second person.
Do you Wes, do you have any other questions that kind of follow up, or I mean we can keep it pushing a little bit more because I do have other follow-up questions, but what about you?
There was one thing that I wanted to add. Sorry.
Yeah, no, of course.
No,
yes.
go.
And I know we
Yeah,
have questions and all that stuff, but we can also, you guys can also interject and just come in. Like, we don't always
yeah.
just have to have questions.
I
Yeah.
forgot what we were talking about earlier, but I just had a memory of like when I was little, and I think that I had body image issues because my mom was also really hard on my brother. My brother grew up, quote unquote, big boned.
Mm.
Um, and then because I have a memory of like me playing in the bushes one time, and he like went in to like hide, and then I was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And he told me that he was hiding from my mom because she was making him run laps. And
Wow.
later on, I found out that I don't know. She just like casually mentioned one time that growing up, she didn't want me to be big boned or on the bigger side. So instead of feeding me milk as a baby when I was hungry, she would just feed me water sometimes.
What?
Yeah. So I was just like, shocked. So yeah, my brother also kind of got criticized with his weight as well. So just seeing that and like the relationship with my mom and my brother, and then like how she was always criticizing me and always picking at me, like that's why I am the way that I am.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my dad made a few comments about me when I was younger too. He put me on a diet in like the second grade, and in like high school, he'd be like, "All right, we're all gonna go on a walk for an hour after school." And if I had PE that day, I had an excuse to stay home.
Bro, I'm trying to see little cute Anthony, bro.
Goof,
No,
goof.
dude, what
I got
the
pictures
heck?
for days, dude. Just let me know.
Oh, bro.
Yeah, send me that
I
shit,
gotta
dude.
ask
I'm
my
trying to
mom.
see you.
The
You about to
I
look
gotta
hella
see it.
cute.
the
No,
crazy.
but honestly, Laura May, like I totally actually like I recognize that and I feel that too because my brother, he's like a little bit more big bone too. Um and it was kind of like I didn't want to be like him. He was always the guy in my family that like I never wanted to be like.
Yeah.
But then it's also being put on like this pedestal, like the parents have this expectation of the other siblings, hey, don't be like this. And even like the examples of like your parents like making fun of your weight and everything like that, or like making comments or anything like that. My sister even went through that, and they constantly question like, hey, like why are you getting like this way? Maybe you should like work out or something like that. They would always make those like backhanded comments.
That's
Yeah,
great.
and then you just always feel like there's something wrong with you. You can't
Yeah.
please people.
You
And
know,
the unconditional love part too. That's something that in my own personal life that I didn't deal with that necessarily like when I was like younger and like a kid or anything like that, but like now as an adult, that's something that me and my siblings are facing from our parents right now. Just like that challenge of like, do you love me for me or do you love me for the representation that I'm gonna make for you
yeah.
as your like breadwinners or children or whatever, right? So I totally get all that side.
It's crazy because I'm like thinking about this whole thing. Like, we're all in this age group where our generation had really gone through a lot. We're in the middle of everything, the changes both in technology, but also with adapting to the lifestyles that we get to create as millennials, right? Our parents, they had to go through their own sets of traumas with their parents, the boomers, and then having to go through dealing with their kids, the Gen X, our parents. Um, and our parents never had the luxury to be able to say, I'm going to go to a therapist and ask for help. They always had to suppress a lot of their emotions, their feelings, or their thoughts, even their actions, because the only opportunity they had was I had to be studious, I had to succeed, and then once I succeed and be able to have the degree that I need and get the job that I need, I can then start providing for, or I can start creating a family. And then when I create my family, I'm gonna do everything that I never got to have in my life and shower my kids with it. But then the problem with that, right? The underlying thing is that when our parents got to do that for us and shower us with the things that they never had, they also didn't realize that they were bringing the traumas onto us and drowning us with the traumas that they face in their lives. And the problem with that is they have a hard time taking accountability of these things. So now those traumas that we face because they weren't able to take accountability of the things that they had damaged us with, now we're dealing with it with things like this: eating disorders, depression, anxiety, internal issues, mental and physical. And so now it's up to us to try to unlock and untap these traumas so that we can heal from them. And it's hard. It's hard because the healing that we want sometimes we are seeking from the people that harmed us, which is the people we care about, the loved ones, or maybe the thoughts that you had, Goof, like maybe you've had thoughts of like, man, that person that hurt me or made me feel insecure, I wish they had grown up and just like come up to me and just apologize, now. Maybe that might be a thought of you had before, maybe not, but
Yeah.
still it exists, right? Because we also want to heal and grow from that. And it's really hard, like especially with an eating disorder, when you're eating with your feelings or you're not eating at all and you're being a picky eater. A lot of it really stems from the problems that our parents have caused, or even that thought, like you said, they gave you water because they wanted you to be the staple princess, the staple daughter in their family that they can show off as a trophy, right? Because they get to show you off and they feel that that's the success that they have, showing off a beautiful daughter, an amazing daughter to their friends and family, because their success was that. For us, our success is what we feel we find happiness in now, which is completely different than a definition of success from our parents, or even the past, like our grandparents. And then Goof, with you, it's like you have always felt undermined. I think that's what I'm learning from your experiences, your stories that you're sharing with us. You were always looked or frowned upon. They undermined you and they thought that you were lesser than them. So you always felt lesser than someone. So you were like, what the fuck? What's the point? Like, why do I
Yeah.
need to do this? And like, you already hate me anyways, or you don't like me, then fuck it. I'm just gonna go punish myself even more by eating my feelings, or because I find self enjoyment. Because at the end of the day, once you're done eating, what kind of feeling do you have? Content, right? Like, you feel contentment. You feel good that after you eat, you're like, oh, I'm full. At least I feel better than being bullied earlier. But you don't realize that's actually still self harm, because overeating, overconsumption of anything could be a bad thing. Um, an underconsumption of anything could be a bad thing.
Very bad thing. Yeah.
Right? And so it's crazy that although you guys have two different stories, it all still kind of ties into the past, which is what people said to you, what they didn't say to you. And it's also interesting with that question that I'd asked, like, why do people's opinion matter? And the opinions that mattered to you, Laura May, were the people that were closest to you. Meanwhile, Goofy, the opinions that mattered to you were the people completely further away from you. Um, I think a follow up question I wanted to ask now is, well, now that you guys are self aware, and I just kind of brought that whole layout of we, the millennials, have the opportunity to change the outcome, especially what we will do moving forward, even let's say with our future kids, right? Or the future that we want to create. We know now and we're aware of what maybe we shouldn't do. Like, tough love doesn't actually really work sometimes. Just because we're Asians and they're like, that's our parents' excuse. Oh, because it's just tough love. Your grandparents did that to me. They never said I love you to me, so I don't say I love you to you. But I love you. I love you. Don't worry about it. Or I say that because I care about you. I'm telling you you're fat because I want you to be healthy. Or I'm telling you you're skinny because I want to feed you and I just want to give you love, right? But now we know that maybe that's not what we should do to our future, and the people that we want to present to you. But for you guys, is there anything that you're doing today now? Because you are aware of the problems that you guys are facing, whether it be self-diagnosed or not, and professionally diagnosed. Are you actually doing something to maybe recover from this, or helping yourselves in some way that will better yourself in a way to better your relationship with food?
What'd you do to change it?
Yeah. Or
For
what are you
me, I
doing?
would say, for me, I would say, like, I would ask myself, like, when do I feel my best? When do I feel good about myself? And I think it's when I have like some sort of stability with like a routine and I'm eating well. And like when I'm eating well and like when I'm exercising and whatnot, I feel really good about myself because I have that routine, but then also I'm taking care of myself like in the best way that I can. Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Interesting. What about you, Goof?
Just distractions, really. Um,
Interesting.
when I started YouTube, and like I would eat,
Proud of you.
start, editing, uploading, taking it serious. But when I found myself that I was like healed. Like, don't get me wrong, I struggle with like the fight every day, especially if I overeat. Um, yeah, it was just like YouTube, just distractions, really. Get back to
Interesting.
work, or play a couple video games, comp games to be exact, because you can't walk away from those.
I
But
have a
But
oh
question.
yes,
Do we for me, I need to like watch something when I'm eating. Is that the same for you guys too? Yeah.
It used to be. Now
No,
it's watching my dog. Because
because
we eat at the same time.
mine
But
was
it
like
used to be. I used to watch Netflix
because
while like I would eat.
because
I
Wesley's
would
dog
have
is like
to.
this. Wesley's dog is gonna take a bite, and then Wesley's about to take a bite, and the dog's just like, "Are you sure you want to take that bite?"
we
or
eat
am
at
I-"
the same time because if we eat at the same time, then he doesn't beg me.
Uh,
But if I eat at a different time than he does, then he begs.
I think
Um,
I definitely do that. I feel like I always have to watch something. I have the TV on or whatever. I'm actually trying to get in the habit of not doing that. I mean, even what Goof was saying, like if you're in a comp match, or like if you actually literally can't pause the game or whatever. Back in the day, it's easy. You have a PlayStation, pause the game, go and eat, or your parents will just shut it down for you, right? But
Yeah.
now it's like, but I'm trying to find a balance in that too because I'm realizing that's also actually stemming from a trauma or a past problem. Um,
we're the OG iPad kids.
yeah, we're in that generation where like we got in television existed and became more popular when we were born. So growing up, television was a big part of our lives. So when we eat, it's no longer eating in a dining table and it's just your entire family together. Now it's like sometimes you're gonna eat first and then your partner eats later because of schedule or whatever, or you're gonna eat and your parents are not there because your parents already ate. You know, like it's never on time anymore with everyone. um Someone in the chat on TikTok had said like, yeah, generational trauma is serious. Like, yeah, totally. Generational trauma is definitely a big thing, especially I think even from like a very ethnic background, like an Asian or a Hispanic culture. I think it definitely is something that we all have similar issues with. Um, Aside from like doing that and like just being more self-aware to kind of make sure that you're maintaining a balance in your guys' diet or like your relationship with food, are you identifying the habits that you're creating for yourself now to actually be healthy or not? Because Goof, I'm gonna bring it up to you first. You said like your way of not overeating is by keeping yourself busy at times. But would you say that could also be problematic? Because what if you then keep yourself busy and then you start to lose your consistency in actually eating healthier? Because eating health, I think eating healthier is just as important as knowing when or when not to eat. Because if you're still eating poorly, it's still a problem in my opinion. You know?
So what I meant by like distractions, like if I would eat, I would use a distraction to fight that urge to go do something instead of
Bulimic,
Oh, okay.
from
puking.
having an episode.
Oh,
Overeating to this day is still an issue because every time I eat, I always eat like I haven't eaten in 2 weeks.
wow.
I scarf it down. I barely chew my food. Wes knows.
Oh.
I know.
But yeah, I mean,
Have you guys, either both of you, ever thought about like seeking for a nutritionist? Because that, I think that's an essential piece of like, I mean, dieting or having a relationship with food.
I have because diabetes runs in the family. But as far as like eating bad and healthy, I'd prefer to eat healthier, just because I feel better.
Yeah.
And like salads is my favorite food. Caesar salad or Caesar salad wrap.
I was gonna
I'll
say,
eat those all day.
I was like, damn, you know Caesar? Or like, damn, I didn't know you're that famous.
So I have an interjection between you two that I think is like it's kind of similar, but like I want to see if you guys like make the connection. Do you think like Goofy, you've said that like keeping yourself distracted and like busy, basically, you avoid that bulimia. With those distractions, do you feel good with those distractions? Like those specific distractions, you feel good about yourself. You feel productive, let's say. Because that's what Laura May said, right? She's doing stuff that she makes
Hello,
makes herself
everyone.
feel
Hello
good.
in the chat.
And
Thank
those
you
are the
so much for
distractions.
listening this whole time.
Do you
I really
feel like
appreciate
it's
it.
like those type of activities that you feel good about specifically?
Well, so when I was doing the YouTube as a distraction, I was kind of passionate about it at the time. So yeah. And then now, since I quit YouTube because I felt like it was becoming of a job, even though I wasn't getting anywhere, I only had like 101 subs.
Mhm.
But it's like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not trying to become famous. I'm just trying to do this as a hobby. But like today's distractions, like of course, if I reach gold or somewhat to plat, of course I feel good about myself. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Or I'm making money for the company because I'm fucking doing work. You know, like
Extra
doing my
overtime. Yeah.
doing my part.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say would feel great in any distraction that I've created along the way in that journey.
That's good. Laura May, do you think that your distractions or your actions of feeling good to purposely like feel good, right? Like whether it be like working out or like enjoying like specific foods and just taking care of yourself. Do you think that you would call those distractions, or is that just like self-love in general?
Definitely self-love. It's the journey to like self-love, I would say. Yeah.
Okay.
Do you still have those moments of like personal insecurities where you look at yourself in the mirror and you can't even compliment yourself?
Definitely. But this year, I think it's cheesy to some people, but this year I've started doing like affirmations. So when I wake up, I'll, tell myself, like, I love myself. I deserve the best things. I deserve good things and things like that. And then another thing that I like to do before I go to sleep and when I wake up is 3 things that I'm grateful for. So that's another thing. Yeah.
Never cheesy at all.
Manifesting.
Yeah. I
Manifesting.
will
Yeah.
yeah, we'll definitely interject on that because I think our ego and our pride in ourselves when we're in our early teens to like, mid 20s, it definitely is really really high, right? So even things like this, people can say like maybe even for like our community, the chat and when they're right now in their mid 20s, maybe they heard you say that and they're probably agreeing like, yeah, that's cheesy as hell, like that's weird as fuck, like you're whack. All right. but
It's the different generations.
it's a different generation, but sooner or later they're gonna realize once they get a little bit older, they're in their mid 20s or high, closer to 30s, they're gonna realize, you know what, affirmations really do mean a lot. Like even the words that you say throughout the day affect the way that you interact with others or even your mood throughout the whole day. And
Yeah.
truthfully, I received this from my therapist, last year when I was consistently going through therapy. I have completed my therapy already, but she said something like that. Why don't you practice something? Because even with my mental health concern, like depression, she said, why don't you start your days every morning with just 3 good positive words and a positive phrase like, you're going to be good. You're going to do great things today. Something in your life will be very positive today. Something some simple as that. Whether it be a repetition, but in different ways, will really help change your mood and the way that you react the rest of the day, right? I truly believe that that's the case because even for me, back then in high school, I want to bring this up. Laura May, you knew I cussed a lot. Like I was a very, I probably
What do you
had.
mean? You were a church kid.
Yeah, you're right. I was a church rebel kid. Right? I was a rebellious church kid who
I
cussed
think
a
there's a
lot.
connection there.
Yeah, right. There's a huge connection there.
There's a connection
Yeah.
there because I feel the same way.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I had such heavy like my diction and the words I had were just heavily used on profanity. And when I was angry, definitely you'll hear a lot of cuss words. I mean, even now, I'm actually catching myself that I'm falling into those bad habits again. I'm like, like just cussing again. So I try not to, and I'm trying not to and changing my ways by utilizing stream as a way of like, I gotta be family friendly, and then they'll joke around like, "Shut up, this isn't family friendly." But then I'll still tell myself personally, like, no, but that means I still just need to watch what I say.
Mhm.
Because it also affects the mood of the people watching. It affects the mood of the people participating with me. And it even affects my mood because at the end of my stream, I'm like, why am I so exhausted? All I did was sit here. But then I realized because of the things that I was saying a lot was really affecting me mentally too. So it's really crazy that you said words of affirmation every day, starting it off in the morning is really great, and then ending your night with another kind of like, you did a great job. Like, thank you for surviving the day, right? Like, thank you for going through that and pushing yourself to doing it. Um, I think that really means a lot, and I hope that you can continue doing that for yourself
Yeah.
because it's definitely a hard journey to start with, especially if your whole life all you've been doing is self-deprecating yourself and constantly looking at yourself in the mirror and being like, "Nah, this isn't good. Like, nah, I'm not good enough, or I'm not pretty enough. I gotta put on this, or I gotta try this on, or I gotta impress people just for me to feel good about myself.
Earlier, you were talking about I don't know, going back to our past selves and like saying sorry. Have you heard about like inner child healing? That's what it
Yes.
reminded me of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are you guys, both of you guys, experiencing that now? Are you doing that to kind of help your inner child to heal?
Yeah, definitely. Since my main focus is like what makes you feel
So
good.
Goofy was like, nah.
He's like, no.
All right, hey, my
Oh,
lad.
Yeah. But that's a whole underline. There's a whole nother issue behind that. But so
I lost my train of thought.
yeah, you
I'm
said
sorry. I'm sorry.
we need this. The comic relief is important too. But you're saying yes. You're definitely like yeah, like you utilizing that and you're doing that and
Your
Yeah,
inner child healing journey.
yeah.
yeah. Like there were times where I would like, I guess, meditate or whatever. I would just close my eyes and I was told like, think of yourself at like, I don't know, 5 or 4 or whatever, and go to your childhood bedroom door.
Like
Knock
your-
on the
yeah.
door, open the door, and you'll see like the little version of yourself. So for me, it was just me like apologizing to little me, saying like, I'm sorry that you were
I
treated
keep
this
playing so
way
late
and like
because
you
all
grew
of
up
you guys
this
are
way.
so fun to play with. So I really appreciate
yeah,
you playing
that's-
with me.
That's one way of how I would
Maybe
do
you're
inner
the bad
child healing.
influence, chat.
Why'd you beat yourself?
Yeah, why'd you mute yourself?
That was weird.
I muted myself.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
muted yourself and you were smiling and chuckling.
Oh
huh?
no. My
You
chat.
laughing at her inner child healing? That's messed up, dude.
I was taking
Okay.
notes. I was like, look at Laura May, inner child. No, I'm just kidding.
Inner child.
Yeah. No, I was just commenting on what the chat was saying, because they were commenting about my practices that I have right now, which is staying up really late. I have a really bad habit of staying up really late lately, which I'm trying to which I just told my community that starting this week, I wanted to get back in the gym at 6 a.m., which meant that I had to also take care of my health at nighttime, not streaming or playing video games super late at night when it could also be more progressive and productive for my health. And I got called out in my chat and they said, you're also exhausted because you keep playing so late. So you're not actually treating yourself in a healthy way. And those could be a lot of factors too in our own personal lives. So, but Goof, you said no. You said no to the inner child thing. Why is that?
Just too busy with work, dude.
Self-reflect.
Yeah, don't really care. Don't have the time.
Interesting.
I
It's
work,
that
play video
survivability
games.
mentality,
Yeah.
honestly.
Do you think there could ever be a space in your life where you will find kind of that Zen moment, or maybe are you even seeking for that kind of moment? Do you want that peace? Yeah.
I don't see I'm not that kind of person, honestly.
Okay.
God, it's just how I am. I don't think so. To be
Interesting.
honest with you. Yeah.
No, that's great.
maybe I don't know. Like it could maybe in the future I'll change, but like right now I don't see myself doing that because I could care less about it. There's just too much going on right now.
Interesting.
You're trying to just survive in the current moment to even worry
Correct.
about what happened in the past. I get that.
Because
Wow.
there's so much going on that I have to worry about other than
Yeah.
things like that.
And again,
You
like
got
could be on
4 kids. You got
9
9
dogs.
dogs.
yeah, you have
But every
a,
little thing counts. Like
Yeah.
even just like taking like 5 minutes for yourself, and for me, like just taking 5 minutes for myself and like, just letting me sit with my feelings or whatever, doing my affirmations, it helps. Every little bit helps. And I think as long as you like start off little and make your way up, it'll help you in the long run.
So this is what you
Yeah.
gotta do. This is what you gotta do, Goofy, because I know I know you don't always get the peace of mind to like just be by yourself. You're always around people. Take a shit, take your poop. That's your excuse.
Yeah.
But really, just sit on the toilet with the lid closed, like a seat.
and then just
Say
breathe,
3
bro.
things.
Poop time is me time.
Yeah, just breathe. Yeah, poo time is me time. I think
Yeah, every time you call me, it's always in the bathroom too.
Yeah. I think even that
Hey,
despite
you
it
tried to call the bathroom earlier, alright?
I think even that Goof of course we're not gonna force anything to you down your throat and tell you like this is what you need to do. Not even a therapist can do that for you, right? You can go to a therapist and you still don't have to follow what a therapist says.
Yeah.
But I think, you know, everyone has their own ways of coping. Maybe not even just coping, but recovering or healing in their own
Yeah.
ways, right? And you're just not a heavily emotional person, and that's totally okay. And that's what I really like about Transparency Thursdays, right? You could be honest and say, you know what? No, I'm not an emotional person. And maybe there may be underlying concerns with why you're not an emotional person and why you're not too open about your emotions. But that's a whole different topic, right? And your way of coping with your eating disorder or recovering from or healing from your eating disorder are the things that you already said. I know what my methods are and it is working for me. And as long
Yeah.
as it's working, that's what matters, right?
Yeah.
Because the most important part about this is just like, are you actually doing something to make it better? Because if you're in this space and you're aware of it now, like, oh man, I like to overeat, but it doesn't matter. I like it when I'm watching a movie. I'm just gonna go buy a popcorn, a popsicle, a Slurpee, and chocolate, and maybe gum and make sure I finish all of that before the movie ends in 2 hours. Like, then you're not really helping yourself, even though you're saying you're self-aware and you're feeling sorry for yourself. All you're doing is just constantly harming yourself. It's like saying, I know I have addiction with marijuana or whatever it may be, and yes, it may not be deadly, but it's impeding with your relationships with your friends, your activities, your work.
The way you live life, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So if you're aware of it, but then you're just still constantly complaining about your life and the problems you're facing, then that's really like a you problem. And this is where we say like, yo, do something about it. Like fucking change something, because the whole point of our podcast too is not just to make people aware of your guys' problems, but to maybe sometimes help the people that are watching this podcast and realize maybe they might also have their own similarities and concerns about their own health and their problems. And what can we do each other collectively to kind of motivate and influence each other to do better?
Yeah, it kind of helps them it kind of helps the people like just realize what is the actual true issue,
Yeah.
and then also with like the tools that both of you guys have like provided and both deal with in your own guys' different eating disorders and similarities and everything like that. It helps them realize, what can I do to change that?
If there was something that you would want to share out to the audience based off of your own personal experiences, whether it be like not even about eating disorder, but maybe your past experiences that caused you to have an eating disorder, what would that kind of advice or that thought that you would want to share with the audience? Either one of you guys. Either one can start. Yeah, go ahead, Goof. I saw you.
Okay. Repeat the question.
So if there was like a sort of advice or maybe even thoughts that you would want to share to the audience that could maybe help them in any way, potentially maybe with their eating disorders or the kind of like problems that they're facing that's leading to an eating disorder, what kind of advice would you want to say or share?
Let the secret out, honestly, because the way I did it, the first time I was diagnosed, I didn't tell anyone but my wife, and and I still continue to do it even though I tried to change. Like I tried to push it under the rug like it never happened. But when I made the second doctor visit, and she said, "Yeah, you're bulimic. Did you do anything about it?" I was like, "Well, fuck." Then I went to work, probably about another week or whatever, and I was in my car at lunchtime just crying, dude, and
Let it out, man. It's like-
so, and then I texted like my wife like, "Hey, like I wanna, like I wanna fix this, just like letting it out, talking it out." So I left work early, and I cried to my supervisor like, "Hey man, like I'm not right." Told him, fucking went home, and I gathered my immediate family, my mom, dad, brother, sister, my wife, obviously the kids because they go with us anywhere, and and they're like, "What's wrong?" And the first question they asked was like, "You guys are having another baby?" So I was like, no. And then I was like,
And then you make the joke. Oh yeah, here.
Oh no.
and then I was like, No, like I'm sure you guys know or had an idea of it. I'm bulimic, and dude, like I just as soon as the word bulimic came out of my mouth, I lost it.
Broke.
That's
Yeah.
tough.
But after like telling everyone, like I got the respect. Like my brother came up to me and was like, "Dude, like you had balls to tell like your biggest secret, and I have like the most respect for you." Like, you know. So it's just like, ever since I let that secret out, it fucking just
Helped a lot, yeah.
I don't know, saved my life. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just let it out, dude. Like,
Yeah.
fucking tell people. Don't keep it to yourself. That's the worst you can do.
It's like a weight
You're just-
lifted off your shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're essentially just killing yourself.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And I mean, even just this, I know before Laura, may we have you share your thoughts too? Yeah, I just want to say too, again, much respect to you, Goof. Like, when Wes had reached out to me 2 3 weeks ago about this and had shared that you wanted to open up about a story and you wanted to share that story here, I said, bro, let's do it because that's the whole point of our podcast is to share other stories of the people that are out here, and especially all the feedback we've been receiving about how it really has. We had a podcast about relationships and divorces and how that topic came about was because a good friend of mine was going through a 5-year relationship and they were going to separate themselves, and she had said that like she thought that that was her partner for life, and it really broke her to the point that like she didn't know how to navigate through it. Not even her therapist or other friends could approach it. So I said, you know what, let me bring this up as a podcast and see what the audience might say in terms of this. And I kid you not, a week later she's in a healthy, solid, trying to fix her relationship again and trying to mend things. And if this is the way that we can do things to kind of help people in some ways, whether it be small or big, let's do that. Like sharing, you being open to one, being a part of this podcast, and two, sharing to the audience about what you did to even get started to heal from it. Dude, that takes a lot of courage because again, like you said, like it just kind of makes you unalive yourself, right? Makes you not even just like literally, but like your soul just kind of dies the more that you've kept it to yourself.
Yeah.
So
And it was like a mental reset, honestly. It was like the best thing I could have done. That's why like just talk to someone and eventually tell everyone, but you got to tell someone.
yeah, I'm proud of you for that, man, and much respect to that. So thank you for sharing that and telling our audience what ways they can do to help that
Yeah.
situation, right? But yeah,
Yeah.
let that secret out, because that secret might actually be something that shouldn't have even been kept. Um,
Yeah.
so thank you for that. What about you, Lorme? If you had something that you would want to share to our audience, maybe for their experiences, especially for you, not necessarily professionally diagnosed, right? But you're just self aware and you know that this is an eating disorder, this is a problem because of your past traumas that you've had with your relationships in the past. What would you want to share to the audience that maybe could help them and have more self awareness of their problems?
Well, I'm gonna say I don't have those issues anymore. I mean, I still have like body image issues and whatnot, but I don't suffer from an eating disorder anymore. But I'm just gonna keep it simple and just say love yourself, do what feels good to you, and just be authentic to yourself and be around good people that make you feel good and loved.
And I really like that. Even a simple message like that definitely hits hard to a lot of people because loving yourself is also a very hard thing. A really cheesy phrase that came from a book, Perks of Being a Wallflower, and they say this in the movie also, is the main character was asked, why do you do this to yourself? Why do you put yourself in relationships that always just harm you and never actually benefit you, with the love that you want or that you're expecting? And then I remember in the very lines that they say is, we accept the love we think we deserve, right? And so that's the reason why I put myself through shitty relationships, because I think that's all I deserve. I just deserve to be in a shitty relationship with my partner. I just deserve to be in a shitty relationship with friends. So that's all I'm going to keep accepting because that's all I can receive anyways, and that's all I'll ever get. So you telling yourself like it all starts really with acceptance with yourself, self-love.
Mm-hmm.
Telling yourself like, no, you know what? Even if someone can't love me the way I want to be loved, the most important love that I need is the love that I'm trying to accept for myself, which is loving me as me and looking at the mirror and saying, you know, I'm more than enough, I'm good enough, and that's okay. And because that also can really affect your relationship with everything else, including your relationship with food. And we saw that. We saw that in the testimonies that you guys both had. Goof's relationship with food was because of the self-love he didn't really have with himself, truthfully, growing up, because of all the words that were just drowned on him and saying that he was skinny, he wasn't good enough, or his physical traits, he was too fat, or whatever else. And then for you, it was the relationship with your mom, explaining that like she constantly just berated you with negativity because it was never enough for her, because she wanted a trophy daughter. She wanted a daughter that she could show off and be proud of. And if it didn't follow with her standards, it was not perfect at all. And to the audience out there, even with bringing it back to the very beginning with the topic of Ozempic, if you are starting to realize with yourself that you're using certain sources to run away or to use as a coping mechanism, maybe it's time for you to kind of self-reflect again and ask yourself why you're using these tools as a coping mechanism for something that you may feel like you're not satisfied with. Especially in today's generation, it's so easy for us to go to other forms of medical help. It's no longer about medicinal herbs or like whatever it may be, medicine that will help you with your indigestion, you know, or your depression, whatever it may be. Now it's even just as simple as like, I don't like my lips, I'm gonna go get a lip filler. I don't like my bone structure in my chin, so I'm gonna go get a Botox. I don't like my physical trait, I'm gonna go get prescribed Ozempic and, you know, diagnose myself with problems even though you don't have problems. I know this topic is a very serious one, especially because eating disorder has caused a lot of people to unalive themselves. As Goof was even saying, it really does it really take a mental toll on someone, and it could really crush your soul in some ways, even if it may not feel that way. Our relationship with food is just as important as the relationships we create with the people around us, because it's the food itself that sustains us more than the friendships or relationships we have with people. Those are very tangible things that we can have. But sometimes the piece that we think is very tangible, which is food, sometimes is really hard for us to grasp because there could be other underlying situations, whether it be like your financial situation, right? Some people are not fortunate enough to be able to find healthier habits with eating, right? Sometimes all they could afford is going out there across the street and going to McDonald's or Taco Bell late at night because they know that it's the $2 meal that will suffice because it's all they could afford. But if there are other ways, yeah, Goof.
No, it's $5 meals now.
Oh, $5 meals now, right?
Oh my gosh,
Sorry.
inflation.
I'm still living in
Yeah,
2012, man. But even that alone, understanding those, and yes, we want to be well aware of that too. Not everyone is very fortunate enough to be able to find tools to have healthier eating habit or healthier eating choices, and so they resort to these types of food that actually are more detrimental to their health. But the thing that I want to say with that is, even if you are in a situation that you don't have, you know, that luxury to do, there are still many ways to be able to help yourself with your relationship with food. And that starts with maybe a nutritionist or maybe even with your friends, right? Asking what are certain types of meals you like that are cost efficient, that we can work together to kind of be in that diet or that eating habits. And I'm going to put it out there as we're ending our stream or our podcast for tonight. I want to point it out there that eating disorder isn't just being bulimic. I personally think it isn't just about being bulimic or anorexia or the symptoms that you get with bulimia or anorexia. Sometimes even these things like these health fitness people that talk about caloric deficit, all you need to do is eat less than 1,200 calories a day so that you can lose weight and look like me, or intermittent fasting or doing keto is the way to do it, because when you do keto, you're not focused so much on X, Y, and Z, and then you're actually sustaining yourself, and your body's becoming or is able to digest the proper things that it needs to digest. Or intermittent fasting, because that's the way to do it, because you're starving. The moment you hear that from a fitness pro or guru, whatever, and saying, when you starve yourself in the beginning of the day, that's a problem already. Because you shouldn't be starving yourself in any way. Starving yourself is a negative connotation in itself. When you're starving yourself, that means you're actually not sufficient. You don't have enough or a sufficient amount of something, which is food. That's why it's called starving, because you don't have enough of it. So
I don't really eat breakfast though.
I think intermittent
Me
fasting
neither.
does help some people though. Like if
I
they
don't
have
either.
like blood sugar issues.
Yeah.
I don't know too much about it, but I know it does benefit some people in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is all of these things, take it with a grain of salt. That's why it's most important to really find the right path for you. Because
Yeah.
just by choosing the best way I can be healthy with my relationship with food is by intermittent fasting. But then what you're doing then is I'm not going to eat until 2 o'clock, but your body is telling you yo, I feel weak right now. I need some sort of sustenance. That's maybe what you should think about, is listening to your body, not what the guru is telling you to do, because maybe that's actually not the right thing for you.
I
Keto,
think everyone has a different body too. Like some
Exactly.
people
Yeah.
respond to keto differently than they respond to the intermittent fasting
Yeah.
compared to maybe just working out or
Yeah.
doing just like cardio.
or
Like
even
some people,
yeah.
they just have different bodies. Different body types require different types of practices.
Yeah, in that sense too, take everything with a grain of salt in that space, and try to really listen to yourself, or listen to someone that is a professional that understands what you should do. Because even genetically, our DNAs are constructed differently. So one diet or one sort of health plan may not work for someone else. Someone could be meal prepping and having 1,200 calories a day and still eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but still had 1,200 calories. But maybe your body is actually saying no, I need more, or actually I need less, right? Something like that. But you won't really understand it until you start really focusing on what your body really tells you, or what a professional will tell you is really essential for you. But even that, seeking for professional help sometimes may not also be helpful, because in today's generation, capitalism is the forefront of everything. Cash money is the most important thing, rather than really what matters about how I'm trying to help you. So everything that we're sharing here, as I bring it back, and how we end this podcast is, thank you so much, everyone, for sharing and your thoughts through the stream and your chat. But we also appreciate you guys listening in and to the conversation that we've had. Transparency Thursdays is just purely based on opinion, not all facts. Not all facts. There are a lot of things that we have said here that are based on facts and studies and things that they have experienced in their lives. But please, everything we take and share here in our podcast, also take it with a grain of salt. If you yourself are actually going through these personal concerns that you think were relevant in the stories that Lorme and Goofy had shared, please, we really encourage you to maybe share your secret, or maybe start with self-love, and definitely talk to the people that you're closest to about these situations, because as much as we care about each other in our podcast, we do care about the audience and what you guys are hearing and what you guys are taking from this. So if this is something that is very concerning to you, that you're realizing now based off of our conversations, please seek for that help that you do need, because that will never be frowned upon. It is never a bad thing for you to seek help. And I realized that even when last year, in my whole entire life, all my friends and family have known that I use the word hate so much to the medical field, because of my personal experiences and what has happened with my life and my siblings. But it took until last year for a friend of mine to really influence me and make me realize that I do need to seek for professional help with therapy. And because of therapy, I had realized that even my therapist said, because you seeked help from me, I had realized about your life that you are a very self-aware person and you don't really need a therapist. And they had even said, maybe you ever thought and considered about being a therapist yourself? Um, and I said no, because it's a lot of liability and meaning that people will rely on me and the words that I share. And this is where this podcast had kind of came into fruition. This is my way of letting out my stories and my own problems, but also in ways for us to take light of things, because sometimes a lot of our lives we take it way too seriously, and sometimes we just need to let it out and have fun and laugh it off. So thank you both for being here, for being open to your stories, personal or may not, and for laughing along with the jokes that we may have. And I hope you guys don't take offense to this. Chat, I hope you guys never took offense to any of the things that we said. And if you do, maybe the shoe fits. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
Sponsored by Nourish. Also, he was talking about dietitians and everything. Sponsored by Nourish.
Yeah,
Just kidding.
I'm totally kidding. If the shoe,
Sponsor us, Nourish.
but yeah, right. Thank you again, Laura May. Thank you, Goofy. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Thank you for sharing your advice. If there are any other topics in the future that you feel you guys would like to share your own thoughts again, we invite you and open this up as a place for you to come back to. And I hope you guys also learned a little bit more about yourselves and about someone else through this conversation. And if there's anything that we can do for you guys as friends, please reach out to us, even outside of the podcast, because that's what this is all about. So I really appreciate it. If anyone else has anything to say, I'm really surprised we didn't get to see the salad that Fierce ate. We didn't get to see the sandwich.
Hey, let me say something real quick. I text Wes like in the beginning of the podcast. I was like, I feel like this is a weird time to spend everybody bought me lunch as we're talking about stuff like this. I'm like, there is no way I'm gonna pick up my food, go like this while we're talking.
We're talking about eating
this.
disorders, and you're just in the background.
Bro, I think it would have actually been perfect, man.
No,
You ruined the
I
moment.
didn't feel right doing
Yeah.
it. That's me.
But yeah, anything else that you guys want to say? We pretty much can end it off here. Just really thankful for this talk. I got to learn a little bit more about myself too, and maybe there's something I need to go check about myself, because eating late at 11 o'clock at night and excusing it because I've been in my video games might actually be a problematic thing too. So
Oh yeah, hell no, dude.
Yeah.
That's not a good. Okay.
Yeah.
I said this to you from the start though too. You be like, okay, it's like 12 o'clock. Like I need to go eat dinner. I'm like, what the hell?
midnight, 12 o'clock midnight, not 12 p.m.
Hell, you had 2 hours before the stream. Why did you eat?
Yeah. But yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for joining in. But yeah, I'll see you guys again next time. Feel free to stay here in the chat first, actually, before you guys leave. I'm just gonna end the stream, and I'm just do my outro real quick. So thank you so much, everybody. Wave bye. See you guys later. I'm gonna continue this and add the outro.